Hello, everyone. My name is Deyemi Okanlawon, and I am a businessman who knows how to act. Yes, and brief history. Some of you might know that I studied engineering at the University of Lagos, and then I had a 10-year career in sales and marketing, primarily because I was selling bread and cake on campus, and the people that I was selling their bread and cake hired me as a sales manager out of school. It didn't help that I finished with a third class in engineering, so I didn't really have a choice but to take the job. Um, and then while I was on campus, I sort of found my way back into drama. I've been acting since maybe 5 years old. And when I got to uni, it got rekindled. And I joined a drama department in a school fellowship. And I was there, from one ministry to another for about 10 years as well. Apparently learning how to act, because it was just, it wasn't a hobby, it was ministry. So I took it really seriously. And one day I got a random conversation. Someone said, there's an audition going on somewhere. I was like, hey, okay, yeah, I'm going to try it. Is it not acting? I got 2 roles from my first audition. And that led into another 2 roles. Then it's something that really got big, Giddy Up by Indani TV. And started getting offers to come work as an actor. Quit my job as the head of marketing for OLX Nigeria. Stupid me, but yeah, I did it anyways. Quit my job, started acting full time. Plan was to do it for just 1 year, just have a great time. Know that's one time in my life I stood in front of the camera and I acted and I was happy, and I can die in peace. 1 year turned into 12 years. So it's been 12 years of being an actor. Wait until you hear what I've been through. There, you know whether you want to clap. So you see, coming into Nollywood, I remember I had spent some time on set with a few people, actors especially, and something just didn't feel right to me. A couple of things actually. And the first thing was, I looked and I realized, wait a minute, Nollywood that year, they like casting yellow boys. Very yellow boys, fine. Well, let me say it's fine boys, and I didn't, Anyway, I was hungry there, so I really didn't look handsome, so it's true. I wasn't fine. So I looked at the market, I was like, they don't have a good-looking, dark guy who can really act in this field now. And they look at nobody. Okay. Then I talked to some of them, and I was like, these guys don't have strategy for their careers to become number one now. What's going on? And so I tested a few things. And you'll find out, during the course of this class that I developed a system for myself, primarily because nobody wanted to manage me. When I came in, engineering boy, church boy, sales and marketing, no swag, none of that. I just knew how to act. So they didn't believe in me, and I needed representation, so I created my own company to represent me. So I'll write email as Deyemi Okanlawon, and then I now goes on and I write it as another name. I can't tell you the name so that you're not going to reveal my secrets. And I did that for many years until I hired my first assistant, and then last 2 months ago, I hired a manager for the first time in 12 years. And this system that I developed really, is it a system or an ideology? But it's what I've tried to share with so many young creatives, so many young actors in the last few years. I've done series of masterclasses that I titled The Business of Acting for actors. And it's really just trying to show them that there is a path. There is a business sense to this creative craziness that we've come to call our passion. Before I go ahead, I just want to get an idea of who we have in the room, what it is you guys do. So real quick, your name and what you do.
My name is Chisom. I'm a visual artist.
Visual artist. Thank you. Next.
Hello,
Good afternoon. Okay. My name is Chidubem.
Chidubem,
I'm an event planner.
event planner. Wow.
Hi, my name is Abib. I'm an actor,
Actor.
producer, and digital marketer.
Okay, make my work slightly easy today. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Buluwatife. By day, I am a banker,
Oh shit.
and in the side, I'm a music creative.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Isabel.
Isabel.
I am an actor. I am an alumna of Del York. I am also
Del
a
York.
student.
You're also a what?
Student.
A student. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all students.
Hi, I'm Oluwadamilare Timley and I'm a publicist.
Publicist.
Hi, my name is Andwang. Into motion graphics.
Motion graphics. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Bobola. I'm a motion graphics designer
Motion
and
graphics.
talent manager.
Talent manager. Ah, oh shit. If I had met you 3 months ago, perhaps.
Hi, my name is Omobode. Everybody calls me Blade. I am a creative strategist and a voiceover artist.
All right, that's why they call you Blade. I mean, creative
Yes.
strategy. Killing them.
Hi, Onyi Damola, actress, singer, songwriter.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Your face looks familiar, but
Eh,
do I know?
I get around.
My name is Ada.
Ada?
Uh-huh. I'm starting a talk show soon.
Okay.
So
Awesome. What's her name? Hello. Okay, guys, welcome to the business of acting and creativity. So a lot of the examples I'm going to be sharing today will be from my life as an actor. We can try to extrapolate in some of those areas. And I always tell people, this is a sales and marketing class. I think every creative should have a sales and marketing plan, AKA a career plan. How are you gonna progress your career? What are the strategies? And one of the things that you would find out is it's the same thing as running any business. Please tell me, how many of you here have read a business book? Any business book? I'm gonna ask you the name. Oh, yeah. What business book have you read? Do you remember the name? No? What business book have you read? Kindergarten-ish type level. Well, it does something. None? How to jumpstart your brain. Wow, that sounds dangerous. Put wires in your head. And what business book have you read? Do you remember? You can't remember? Anybody else? Okay, you two? The art of the start, making it big. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. At least, we're making an attempt. And so basically it's, how do you create a sales and marketing plan for a creative? And for me, I always start with the end goal. My end goal was to build a particular kind of life. It had nothing to do with acting. As a matter of fact, I think that whatever you do as your job or as your craft, whatever venture you're into, all that is a vehicle to where you want to be in life. What's the kind of life that you want to build? I can't define myself by any craft or any profession because I've done several things and I realize that I'm not one thing. I cannot be labeled as one thing. If I'm telling you that I was in engineering at some point and I went into sales and marketing and I'm now an actor, and in everything that I did, I performed. Forget the third class. It was because I wasn't reading the first 2 years of at the end of the day, what we have to realize is, what type of life do we want to live? You do not want to build this whole elaborate career. You've built this wall, this ladder, right? Someone told me this story about a man who was so successful. He had climbed up the ladder of success and gotten to the very top, of this high, monument of a skyscraper. And at the end of his life, he looked around and he realized that that ladder had been leaning on the wrong wall. And so it's very important that we start with the end in mind. What kind of life do we want to have? And it brings me to where last year I lost my only uncle my mom's older brother, firstborn son of my grandmom. And on his dying bed, I saw him surrounded by his children and his grandchildren and his wife. You know, and although I've always had this idea of what do you want people to say about you when you die, that was this for the first time was going to be a picture of how I wanted to go. You see, because that end point, knowing that now helps me to make decisions to ensure that I have that picture when I go. What kind of lives do we want to live? Maybe in the next 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe if you can think that far, 10 years. What are you looking at building as a life? Do you want to have social life? Do you want to have some time to yourself? There's some things you may not be able to do if you're trying to also have a social life. Some people will be, thinking about relationships. There's some things that you can't easily do if you're in a relationship. There's some things you can't easily do. You can't just, I'm married with 3 kids, married 13 years. I can't pick up my bag today and say, oh yeah, everybody, let's move. If I was alone, I'll be in Indonesia tomorrow. I'll be in Cote d'Ivoire the next day. I can do anything I like. What kind of life do you want to build? It's very, very important. And so after having defined that end goal, it kind of helps you realize what kind of finances you might need. Not everybody wants the same thing. Not everybody wants Elon Musk's type of billions. You want to be as rich as Elon Musk. You don't think so? Does anybody here want to be as rich? You want to be as rich as Elon Musk? I love it for you, bro. I love it. More money, more whatever. But there's some things that, what are you ready to sacrifice for that? Very important. Now, having done that, as I said, I looked into the industry and I saw, man, there's nobody like me. There's an opportunity here. It could be that there is really no opportunity, or it might be that if I give it a shot, it might work. But I had to really, really, really be honest with myself. And this is how you check out what your competitive advantage is. And I looked at myself as an actor, and I said, look, this is exactly what I look like. This is how I'm built. This is how I speak. This is how I dress. And I sort of figured out that because of the way I am, there's certain kinds of roles that I can play. I've seen other actors. I remember a friend of mine, Mr. George. What's George's first name? And he's a big guy. And he kept saying, I'm going to be an A-list actor. I'm going to be a lead actor. It's really difficult to be a plus-size guy and be lead anywhere in the world. But he kept saying it. And then it happened. And it happened because he was honest with himself. He said, this is what I look like. These are the steps that I have to take. Sometimes people will not think of you for a particular role, but that guy was so good that they switched roles for him. So if the lead guy was supposed to be some, well-built, however type person, because he was so good at his craft, they changed that for him. But he was honest enough with himself to say, this is what I look like. These are the skills, the talents, the access to everything that I have. I got to a point in my career where people would say, Deyemi is not just an actor. He can help with your film marketing. And so I was getting roles because I understood marketing, not necessarily because, I was just a good actor. So I asked, what are our unique selling points? What are those things that define us, that separate us from everybody else? Because it's those things, those strengths, that are really going to help us get forward, in our fields. You say you're an event planner. What sort of events do you plan? Okay, you do burial, naming ceremony. I love it. I love it. And so I defined that. And I remember, I think it was at AFRIF in 2014, 2015. I did a list of the kind of people that I want to work with because of the kind of films that they did, the kind of films that I believed that I could be a good fit for. I had figured out, this is me. These are the people that might need me. These are the kind of films that I might potentially be in. I would have been very honest with myself too. If all I could do was Asaba movies, I'll have said, okay, and I'll have looked at the money that they pay in Asaba. How many do I need to do to build the kind of life or to have the kind of finances that I want to build the kind of life that I want? But it so happened that it was people like Moabudu, people like Kunle Afolayan. And what I did over time was I started to build relationships with these guys. I defined who my target market was. Do we all know who we are actually selling to? Do we know who we are selling to? BFX? No. What did you say you do again? You're a publicist. Who are you selling to?
Yeah, my target audience is the age bracket of 18 to 45. That's it? Yeah. Age bracket of? Yeah.
You're a publicist. You're going to help people do PR work, right? Personal brands or company brands, anybody. So for me, I said to myself, okay, fine. I'm going to do this thing. I need to know who's going to be hiring me. So I sat down, I did a list. I went to all the film websites. I went on all the blogs. I went to check the films that were winning awards. I went to check who it was that shot those films, that produced those films. I found them. But not only was I going to be selling myself to the producers who were going to hire me, but I was also selling myself to the media who was going to amplify my work. So I also had a list of media people that I meet on the red carpet. We exchange numbers real quick. And the third category was my audience who's going to consume my content. How am I selling myself to them? So having broken it down this way, I literally had an idea of who my market audience, quote unquote, was. I had set financial goals. And that's one of the things I think people find really difficult to do, to set financial goals. I set a goal. And I said, okay, in order to reach this amount, I need to do, this is the average fee that somebody in my category starting out in the industry would earn. That means I need to do a specific number of films per month or per year to earn that amount of money. What kind of films pay that kind of money? Who's producing those films? You see how the thinking is? We set the targets. We understand who we're selling to. As I said, I had a list. After having this list, what do? Again, you've defined your market. You do different kinds of events. How do you find your customers? Where do you find them?
I'm very high on networking.
High on networking.
Yes, if I go for
Please
events.
sit.
Okay, thank you. I also reach out to top event planners. I collaborate. I also do my sales, marketing, and everything. So.
Okay, you sound like you should be right here, beside me. We should be doing this class together. Love it, love it. And so I decided, okay, these are the people who I could potentially be working for. The producers, these are the media outlets. This is where I can find my audience. To find Moabudu, I had to go to Afrif. And I started a relationship with her. To find Yvonne Nelson, my God, I knew I had to go to Ghana. I didn't have enough money as a new actor, but then I knew there was the Ghana Movie Awards happening. Ghana Movie Awards, award ceremonies, film festivals, all those type of things. I knew that was where I was going to find my target audience. And so I saw a plane ticket. This is a while ago, so it was about 80,000 naira to get to Ghana, and I only had about 40,000 naira in my account. Something popped up. There's a new airline doing a promo. It's half the price. I didn't even think about it. I bought the ticket before I realized, oh no, I don't have money for a room. But I'm like, I'm a Lagos boy. I go rough farm. And so I got on the plane. I linked up with, I messaged every Ghanaian filmmaker that I'd ever met at every film festival, people who I just went into their DMs when I saw their movies or their series, and I said, congratulations, this looks amazing. I look forward to meeting you someday. And so I wrote to everybody, and I was like, guys, I'm coming to Ghana. Can I set up a meeting? I got to Ghana. I did meeting after meeting after meeting. There was a show called An African City. It's kind of like Sex. It was Sex in the City, but with African women, with Ghanaian women. And I was going to meet Nicola Matefo for the first time after messaging her online. And she met with me, so I have a role that I think you're going to be perfect for. You know, now that I've seen you up close, I mean, I've seen your work, but yeah, I think you'd be perfect for this role. We just did an audition. We couldn't find someone to play the role. But our audition was so small compared to Yvonne Nelson's audition. Like, Yvonne did an audition. They said yes, meaning Yvonne is going to do a movie. I said yes. I said, okay. I kept that. Went to all my meetings. I had borrowed, I didn't have money. So I had borrowed suits from my Atafo. Everybody knows my Atafo. My Atafo. He was my guy that year, helping the needy. So he borrowed me this really nice, expensive looking suit. Guys, if you don't have money, look good. Always look good. It always works. And so I got there, and I got to this award ceremony. I was going with a blogger friend of mine. He came with a cameraman, and I walked in there wearing this really nice looking suit, and I walked up to every single celebrity and producer, director that I met. I was like, hi, my name is Deyemi Okanlawon. I'm from Lagos. Do you mind if my photographer takes a picture of us? They thought I was a big deal. Nobody knew me. And that's how I started the relationship with every single one of them. Majid Michel, Ajete, Anan, and the rest. And that's how I met Yvonne Nelson. The whole night, the award ceremony, they had an after party. I was there. I was dancing. I was like, man, this guy from Lagos, this guy can rock party. They didn't realize I didn't have a place to sleep. So I danced the whole night. In the morning, everybody was leaving. I was like, is anybody going in the direction of the airport? They dropped me at the airport. I got into the plane. I came to Lagos. I slept. Woke up in the morning. I sent my resume out to everybody I thought might know Yvonne Nelson. I get a call the next day. Hi, my name is Yvonne Nelson. I have a role for you in my film. And that's how I got to be in a movie, playing the lead role in If Tomorrow Never Comes with Yvonne Nelson. I think ultimately, what I'm sharing today is, if I could use one word to encapsulate it, it's going to be boldness. It's going to be boldness. You see, I said earlier that we all try to box ourselves into things, especially things that society expects of us. Being a creative, you're more or less breaking out of that mold. You've already experienced one level of boldness. You've already exhibited one level of boldness. But there's so many more levels that you have to go through. You have to be willing to put in the work. And so for the media guys, I'll think, okay, what can I use to shock these people today? I'll write an article and title it, Is Deyemi the Next RMD? If you Google that right now, you will find the article that I wrote, and I used to write all my articles and send it to the friends that I met on the red carpets, the media guys. I just thought maybe you might want to, and they don't want to do the work anyways. Free article that you don't have to write. And I knew this, so I put stuff out there. Social media for me, took a while, because I don't really be liking social media. But eventually I realized this is a great opportunity to brand myself, and I was putting out exactly what I wanted people to see, such that anytime, and realize this, anytime people see my poster for a movie or a thumbnail that has my face on it, I don't want it to be like as if I'm the one saying it too. But if you see I'm going to ask you, I'm going to risk this. If you see my poster, my picture on a poster or on a thumbnail, what's the first thing that comes to your mind about the movie? It's a great movie. It's potentially a very good movie, right? Potentially, yes. I almost never miss. Very intentional, because I want to serve my audience with quality. If I was hungry and I collected the money, they will still look at my performance. The whole film might be a shit show, but nobody would ever say that this guy's performance was anything but excellent. As a matter of fact, the reason why you would hardly find any film that I'm in that is bad is right now is because I decided I don't want to be the best thing in any movie anymore. I'm only going to work with people who are at my level of excellence. And so we talked about how you identify your target audience. So we know who they are now. What are you showing them? What are we presenting to them? How are you introducing yourself to them? Everywhere I went to, I had a video. One of my first few short films. The opening scene of the short film was me sitting on a chair, hands tied cuffed behind me, but I was underwater. I think that was going to be the first time. You guys check out Blink. It's on YouTube. Blink, you can add my name, you find it. The opening scene was me sitting on a chair, cuffed behind, and we shot it underwater, and I nearly drowned, but it was worth the experience. Every time I met a filmmaker, hi, my name is Deyemi Okanlawon. Oh, I have a short film that I think you really love, and then they watch it. That year, that film had over 300,000 views. I promise you it was because I was going around to everybody who said, hi, my name is Deyemi Okanlawon. Not true. Some people saw it on Twitter and some other platforms, and they really, really enjoyed it. How do you present yourself? How do you introduce yourself? And we're in Nigeria, so you can't oversell. You got to look at the people that you're selling to, you know? This is not how I talk normally. This is how people you're talking to, that's not how I speak. Normally, if I'm going to talk, this is how I talk. We got to learn the art. If I sat in front of, this is Ebony Life, Abi. If I'm in front of Mwabudu and I don't come correct, she's not going to give me her time, is she? You know? And I've seen it happen. I've seen her at auditions when she's picking out actors, and she consistently picks out people who speak good English. No matter how fantastic an actor you are, she consistently picks people who speak good English. There are other people who have other criteria. You have other customers who have other criteria. How are you presenting yourself to them? I always had this thing where I'll show people. Another thing I would do is I was always offering value. I think we forget that people would do anything for you if you offer them value, at least to start off the relationship. And so part of what I would do is, as I said earlier, even encouragement is value. Congratulations to somebody is value. They get something from it. A filmmaker is doing a movie. I go with them to the cinema. Can I help you sell some tickets? It's value. I'm building a relationship. I'm not trying to sell myself as an actor. I'm building a relationship where I'm adding value. At some point, either that person or somebody who observes me giving value to somebody else would recognize that and hire me. And so after deciding, okay, this is the people that I want to serve, this is how I'm going to package myself, how do you reach out to them? You find where they are. You find their social media platforms. Again, I had a list of at least 100 people. At least 100 people that I had their names, if I didn't have their email, I had their phone number. If I did not have their phone number, I had their social media handles. And I would consistently send stuff to them. Oh, there's a film festival coming up. Do you know about it? You should submit your film for this. Just consistently just doing things for them until the relationships were built. About 2 years ago, this is 2025, so in 2022, I sat down and decided, okay, new strategy. We've sort of done a lot in Nigeria. It's time to do something outside the country. I didn't know anybody. You're an actor. Is there any other actor here? You're an actor. Are you an actor too? Oh yeah, you sent a finance background though. Okay. And I decided it's time for me to come international. Guys, if you wanted to go international today, what would you do? If you decided you wanted to go international today, can I have that microphone? Let me just have it. Let me hold on to it. Thank you. What would be the first thing that you do?
I think I'll look for something that matches what I want. Like you said, find your audience, your target audience. Yeah. I
The
think
first thing you do is to what?
find who I'll be suitable for.
Okay. Is that
Yeah.
like you're trying to write a list of people that you'll be suitable for? Is
Yeah,
that,
something like that.
that's the first move. Okay.
Yes.
You want to do international events. No, what do you do again, sir? Visual artist. So you're trying to sell your paintings, your art in gallery in France, in Europe. What would you do? What's the first thing you do?
The first thing I do for my practice is I curate a body of work, and then I send out like a mailing list to galleries that show the kind of art that I
So you
do.
figure out who the galleries in, all over Europe that you want.
Yes.
Get their contact details, send
Yes,
stuff.
I send them a ready body of work that they can show if they accept me.
Awesome, awesome. Do you need representation?
I'm currently working independently. But I'll
Okay.
look to-
Okay. I asked that because as an actor, you need representation. And for Nigerian actors, there's no pathway to get international. There's no pathway to get international. As a matter of fact, CAA, one of the biggest agencies, came to Nigeria. They put some people on their roster. We've not seen anything until CAA left Nigeria. So I got on LinkedIn and I started messaging agents in New York, LA, Atlanta, Vancouver, Toronto. I did Ghana, again, Kenya, South Africa. I did London, Ireland, maybe not. I don't think I did Germany. But I was just looking for agents, and I did 1,000 agents across the world. And I sat down for 10 days, every day, sending messages to 100 people to introduce myself and what I do and what I wanted to discuss. Maybe 15 of them responded to me. Went to email. We had the conversations via email. Sent my headshots, my show reels, did everything. 2022. In 2024, I got a call. Hi, Deyemi. There's a need for an African actor in a Japanese sci-fi TV series. And so I got a gig playing a principal character in a TV series called Queen of Mars. We filmed in Japan, Tokyo, from December to February. It should be out next month, December, in Japan. I figured out what I wanted. I figured out who were the people that could get me what I wanted. I figured out where to find them, how to present myself to them, and I did the work. I find in my field, as an actor, a lot of people are waiting for a phone call. A lot of people are waiting for a phone call. They believe I've done this great work out there. Everybody's seeing it, and they will call me. And that could work. And it's worked for a few people, a few times. But having a plan that increases your chances of success, increases your chances of achieving your dreams, your goals, is actually very, very important. Now, I said, first few years, I got into the industry. I wasn't getting the best roles. I wasn't being paid a lot of money. So I looked at it and I said, okay, what do I need to do? You see, there's a point when people say you're chasing your dreams, follow your passion, follow your dreams, follow your passion, follow your dreams. I don't kind of believe in that. People say don't give up. As an actor, 2013, I got in. By 2019, I was done. I was done. I was doing some funny films. I was earning some funny money. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I quit my job as an actor. Okay, there's nobody to resign to. So I just decided, I picked up my resume and I went back to work. But this time I was working at Silverbird Film Distribution. And I spent the next 2 years, 2019 to 2021, working in Silverbird Film Distribution as the head of marketing. I was promoted to head Nollywood film distribution and then became the acting CEO when the CEO relocated during COVID. By the time, does anybody know Omogeto the Saga? Do you remember did you watch Omogeto the Saga? Oh, okay. COVID happened. Silverbird stopped paying salaries. I have a family to feed. So I said to myself, I'm not acting again. So people started calling me. They have been calling me, about I'm not available. Some people started calling me to say, Deyemi, I want you in this film. So Funke Akindele called me. Big film, big ticket. I went, I did the movie. And then I started getting another call. I got another call from Kemi Adetiba. I got another call from Jadisola Shibere. I got another call from Kunle Afolayan. Everybody that I wanted to work with that refused to work with me, they started working with me when I had quit and I was done. I said I wasn't going back. But I needed to feed, so I did the job. I caught COVID twice. But I did it. And I survived COVID. But I insisted I'm done with acting. And then Omogeto the Saga came out in December of 2020 and it became the highest grossing movie in the history of Nollywood during COVID. During that COVID season, it was ridiculous. Then King of Boys came out on Netflix. Castle and Castle, and all these other films came out and everybody started calling me, Deyemi, we need you to come back and come and act. And so I quit Silverbird in April on the eve of my birthday of 2021. No, sorry, am I saying? Of 2021. And I came back to acting. But guys, by the time I came back, now I understood distribution. Now my contracts were different. Because now I know where the money is. Whatever it is that you're doing and you don't know where the money is, guys, there's a big problem. I've seen creative people get shortchanged so many times. Only because they don't know where the money is. They don't understand the business that they're in. You are there dancing in front of the TV. Dancing, literally. Playing. I wrote something to my colleagues one time. I said, this industry is like children playing in an enclosure on the beach. We're building these beautiful sandcastles, and we're having so much fun, and we're laughing, and we're playing, and we're having a great time. And there's a fence around us, and people are on the fence, and they're watching us. And they're clapping, and they're saying, hey. And there's some guy at that fence who's collecting money from everybody. Hey, how you doing? Hey, this is $10, $5, 10,000 naira. And we're there playing games. Other people are collecting money on our head. And I now knew where the money was. So my contracts first changed. I was asking for more money, significantly more money that they couldn't afford. So now they're forced to say, okay, if we don't have the money for you, what else can we bring? Okay, back-end deals. I've been chasing back-end deals for years. Nobody gave me back-end deal until I forced it because I knew. So what's the information? This is what do you know? What's different? Have you tried something else in your field? Have you gone to work in the event planning department of an organization? You're trying to sell yourself to these guys. What do you know about them? Or who do you know there that you've gone to get information from? So my first film happened. I produced a film called All's Fair in Love. Please tell me that you saw All's Fair in Love. Please, thank you very much. Thank you. I don't know, you guys are not giving me... Please, did you see All's Fair in Love? Was it a good film? Yes. I told the director, I said, this film, I'm not going to wear shirts. They begged me. I had to wear it once or twice. So with the knowledge that I had gained, I produced my first film. I knew where the money was. I knew who had control of the money. I knew what I needed. I didn't go and raise money from investors. What I did was I found co-production partners. One of them had access to distribution. The other one had access to marketing. Accelerate TV was one of my co-production partners. They're owned by Access Bank. Access Bank has a marketing platform and a budget. Film One Distribution, one of the biggest distribution company in Nigeria. And I brought them on board as co-producers, and we built this film together. They got access. We did a cinema run. It was a very successful cinema run. Actually, about their marketing. We found our way to Amazon Prime, and we were able to 3x our investments on one film. Meaning, if we spent 100 million naira on the film, we did, what, 300 million? Yeah, 300 million. It was hugely successful. And for the first time, I could now rest. I find a lot of creatives don't sleep because we're always trying to make the next buck. Armed with the right information, knowing the business of your industry, knowing where the real money is, it gives you an opportunity to rest. And we all need it. Knowing where your market is, knowing how to find, you're trying to go international. As I wanted to go international. I told you about Japan. Earlier this year, I saw a show, a theater production on Instagram by a Nigerian. I reached out and said, this looks so fantastic, looks amazing. I wish you all the best. Let me help you repost your poster on my story. That built a relationship that has culminated in me leaving for the UK in December, because Sheffield Theatre is doing an African adaptation, a Yoruba adaptation of Shakespeare's Macbeth, and I'm playing Macbeth in the UK very soon. Yeah. Where's the money, guys? I didn't come to tell anybody how to be creative. I don't even believe I can teach anybody how to act. So I don't do classes about acting, about the craft of acting. What I just try to let people understand is you have to understand your business. You have to have a plan, a very strict, and again, I've asked who has read business books here. Not a lot of people have read business books. A simple book on sales and marketing, on building a plan. Go online, you get the templates, sit down with it, develop a plan for yourself. Know where you want to get to. Know the kind of work that you want to do, the kind of legacy that you want to leave behind, if that's the sort of thing that you're into. Understand the business. It's really, really important that we do. Now, at some point in my career, I decided I've been doing a lot of these type of films. I need to reinvent myself. As a creative, I think sometimes we get to a point where we're so comfortable doing the same thing over and over again, it gets stale. I've seen a lot of creatives, a lot of artists, music artists, who were in the limelight, and they either could not evolve their sound or they could not evolve their business. Some guys come up with new genres of music or new types of music, whatever the case may be. Some guys pivot from being musicians to being record label owners. And it's very okay because some of them will just leave the music industry, take the money that they've made and go and start real estate businesses, which is very valid. How do we reinvent ourselves? Do we know that we need to reinvent ourselves? For me, every year or two, since I cannot afford to go to drama school in the abroad, whenever Bolanle Austin Peters is doing a theater production, I sign up. It's not a lot of money, and it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of work, but it's training, it's school for me. So I go in there, and I spend time there, breaking away all the bad film habits, because film habits are really bad, and then becoming formless. So by the time I come back to TV, it's something different. It's a whole new experience. Reinventing ourselves. I think the last thing that I want to leave with really is about something like what I'm doing right now. I remember back when I really struggled with engineering. one of the things I figured was that by teaching people, if I ever understand something, once I start teaching people, it gets stuck. Until I became the guy who stand in front of the class at night. You know those guys that do tutorials? Yeah, became that guy. And that for me meant that I had to know what I was doing by the time I stand up in front of the class. It made me better, and I was able to do more. It's the same thing here. Every year or two, I gather a group of guys together, and we're talking about the business of acting. It's a small class, exactly like this. And it's really just to open up their minds to the fact that you cannot just be a creative who's making great work. You can't just have the skill or the craft. Simply not enough. And just as I try to break it down here today, the different aspects of what I've done and how I've seen this as a sales and marketing endeavor, I've tried to pass across that message to several people over the last few years. And so when EWA mentioned that, you know, they wanted me to come for something, I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to come and give this brief talk, try to share some of those ideas, and potentially help people who are super creative and are also looking to grow their businesses. I promise you, I feel like as if I'm just talking to myself here. I don't know if anybody's learning anything, if I've done anything. Because it's been tough. It's been tough. Being an entrepreneur is the most challenging thing to do. And it's not just because I want to say I own a business and there's that idea that I shared, I can't work for anybody. You're working. My God. It's like people don't run businesses. That's why they say those kind of. You're working for your customers, and customers are the worst kind of employers. They have the right to tell you anything, and you can't quit. If you quit, you don't eat. So we're all employees, all seeking to add value, all seeking to extract value in return. Do we know who we are? Do we know what we want? Do we know who our target market is? Do we know how to serve them? Do we want to find them? Are we reinventing ourselves, sharpening the wheel, the saw, reinventing ourselves? Are we passing on the torch to the next generation? Because it's all well and good now, you're thinking, oh, you're struggling. I promise you there are other people who are struggling more than you are. There are probably people in university or secondary school who you can share information with. Picture in my head, somebody said, Chadwick, Bossman was on TV the other day saying, before he passed, he was at an event and they were honoring Denzel Washington. And he said there could never have been Black Panther without Denzel Washington because Denzel Washington paid his school fees. And so for the first time publicly, I'm announcing that I'm starting a reality show for young actors, an opportunity that I never had. Nobody ever responded to my emails. And I have the emails. They're my friends now, but they didn't respond to my email. But nobody gave me that opportunity. So I'm building a platform. It's an audition competition for young actors, and the winner of the competition, gets cast as the lead role or in the lead role with me in a movie. So if we follow, and I hope you guys remember some of the things that I said, if we follow some of these steps, and more than anything else, we dream big, we think big, and let's not be afraid. I find that a lot of us are scared. We're scared to want to be number one because we actually know what that means. We're scared to dream because we think, well, what if I fail? What if you don't? What if you fly? And even if you don't, at the end of the day, you tried. You have a story to tell. I will die telling the best stories. So please, thank you very much for coming to my EWA talk.